Okay, we'll call the Finance IT Committee order April 6, 2023. You got the rule. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Are there any public comments? Seeing none? Mr. Munyon.
Good morning. I guess I'm here to see if you guys had anything. I've been following up on some communication that I've been getting from some liability issues that were incurred. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll continue to monitor those things. So we're mid-year, so we're not close to renewal.
Okay. Anybody got any questions or comments for us?
I just thought of it actually. We probably need to go over the old courthouse and the cost of that with the liability. When we talked about that.
Yeah, we had talked about,
We did renewal.
we were, at renewal, we were looking at replacement costs on all these buildings, because when we switched last year from Bliss McKnight to ICRMT, they come in and do a full evaluation, and they do cost replacement estimators on all of your properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was discovered that the courthouse, or the old courthouse, is under replacement costs. And is it something that you would put back then to 100% the way it is, to where it can still be as a monument or whatever it is registered? Then you would do a replacement on it. But if you just would not do it back, you wouldn't put it back, that's something that you should probably think about doing actual cash value on, so that you would save some premium on that. And we talked about that, and I know I'm willing to sit down with you and discuss what you want to do, and then I have the program as well that we can put through the cost replacement estimator and see what our options would be of doing it like where it is now, actual cash value or functional replacement. And then we can look at other buildings as well. So if it's something that you guys choose to do, you want to put me on later in the meeting or something, or you want to do a special meeting, I'm willing to meet with you guys for whatever you guys want to do.
Don't we store a lot of records over there?
At the old courthouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the value of those included?
Yes, valuable papers and records are part of the coverage and for the county wherever they're at.
I just don't want to get into, we're going to start looking at renewals again and this kind of be forgotten. So
Yeah.
something the committee needs to think about.
Probably three things: is replacement value, and then cash value,
Right.
and then don't insure it.
Right.
I mean, those three options.
You'd want to have some debris removal on there, like, so you wouldn't incur any cost if it did burn up or go down.
Mm-hmm.
But you can write it at a certain percentage so that you're self-insuring some of it. So
Right.
let's say I figure out the value is $1 million, then we can insure it. I think some companies will go as low as 50%.
Holy cow.
So that'll give you enough to clean it up, and then if you had to replace a building, put your records in, you could build something else, and you don't have to build it there. You can move it somewhere else. That's the beauty of doing an actual cash value, is you're not locked into that specific address. So, and you would probably save, a pretty good amount, but you could get quotes. I could get quotes for you once we decided of options of how you wanted to do it. Then we could do quotes, and then we could discuss that long before the renewal.
Mhm.
So,
And since we're getting into, our next step is going to be budget hearings, maybe this is something we should look at putting on the next agenda.
and I also wanted to bring up, we work directly with ICRM or IPRF, Illinois Public Risk Fund, and we write them. We're the second largest writer in the state for the work comp for Illinois Public Risk Fund. They do all of our full-time fire districts that we insure, and they do some of our municipal. Right now, you're with ICRMT as a whole package, and I feel they've done a pretty terrific job of trying to do risk management.
Yeah.
They've been working with the sheriff and the jail, and I believe that they've probably been more active than what I've seen since I've been here. So if it's something that you would want to consider, I can get quotes from IPRF, and they've got a new marketing rep, and he's been kind of hounding on you and I both. So if it's something that you guys want to do, I can also quote out your work comp and see if there's any savings there. Just let me know.
Well, it never hurts to get quotes.
And we're far enough ahead of it, so we can easily get something prepared for when it comes time for renewal.
And I'm assuming that animal control has all been put on all the policies.
Mhm.
You're usually pretty good at that.
Well,
Anybody else got any questions for him? Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bernie,
we just had him, so he'll be another month, I believe.
well, and I guess we're down to department heads. So we'll start over there.
Last night ETSB met, not a whole bunch of news for the finance committee in that regard. I did report some things to the Judicial and Public Safety Committee yesterday. It's something that we've already been talking about, the ETS Act that was brought up in last month's Iroquois County Board meeting. That is set to sunset at the end of this year. We're working diligently. The statewide advisory board is also working diligently to make any necessary upgrades to it. One large point of concern that we're trying to do is increase the surcharge. Again, this has been discussed at several points in this committee specifically of how are we going to fund the telecommunicators. So more to come on that. The next statewide advisory board is April the 17th at 10 a.m. So hopefully we'll get some more push towards that and see what's going to happen. Negotiations for the telecommunicators are planned to begin on April the 20th of this month, which is a good thing because that needs to be pushed, get handled, discussed in preparation for budget. So hopefully we can get that all completed before budget negotiations begin. I have one employee, Charlie Daniels, that has started on January the 20th. She's currently been on her own for about a month. She's doing very well. Sheriff has given multiple compliments, and I'm happy to hear that. So keep them coming. And unfortunately, as soon as one went into the rotation, I had one go out on FMLA. They're set to come back mid-month this month, so hopefully we'll be back in action, full staff. Not going to guarantee any reduction in overtime, unfortunately, because we're starting to head into the late spring and summer months. And then last, and might be one of the most important items, April 9th through the 15th, which is next week, is Telecommunicator Week. These people do an excellent job for this county, so if you know a telecommunicator, please thank them. If you want to come into the center, be happy to show you around, let you take a look at it, and thank our telecommunicators. And that's all I've got.
Anybody got any questions for him? And we'll go with Sheriff.
We're still working with IMH on refreshing the contract with them for the medical. We're changing the way that we're going to do the billing. Some of the stuff that's related to the medical assisted recovery program is going to be billed to the opioid settlement fund, the monies that we got, so that will help us alleviate some of the inmate medical issues. Yesterday we took one of the inmates down to Gibson City to the dentist at the hospital. They take the Medicaid card, so we're going to hopefully be able to see a reduction in the cost by doing that. I know it's a little bit further away, but I think we'll see the cost savings. I am working with IMH to try to get that same service at IMH, where they take the medical cards. I went to the ILEAS conference a week or so ago, talked to our Verizon rep. They've got a push-to-talk feature that we could possibly utilize. We're going to have a demonstration of that this afternoon. I looped in Eric Raymond on that. The possibility of the officer having that as a secondary communication. So if the dispatcher can't get him on the radio, they hit him up on the push to talk. It's kind of like the old Nextel style. So instead of the officer picking up his phone and opening up the call, he would just push that button, would not have to deviate his eyes from what he's got going on. I was able to save $96.56 per month by suspending the 2 ICOM backup lines that we have through Verizon. We're able to suspend those for 3 months at a time. So looking to save a little bit of money there. As far as the deputy that left us last month, we had to hurry up and get a spot in the academy for corrections. The May 2nd is when the first corrections academy started for this year, and that's going to be a 5-week instead of an 8-week class. That'll be the last of the 5 weeks. So I wanted to get somebody in that class so we can save on having another person gone for 3 weeks. So we were able to get a spot in the May PTI class. So when that correction officer gets out of corrections training, he will vacate a spot, and then the other correction officer will go to the police training. The officer that did leave us was gone about 3 weeks and decided the grass wasn't greener. He said he didn't realize how good he had it at our department, and he asked to come back. So hopefully that's kind of a testament to our department that we have a really good situation going on. So he asked if he could come back. I did talk with Jill. I believe that we're going to be good on that respect as far as the salary line items in the budget. We'll actually be ahead of the game when Deputy Eads retires in September. So when Deputy Eads retires, that person will fill that spot. So as far as vehicles, we did get the second investigator vehicle. 2 patrol trucks have been delivered to Raleigh's. We have possession of those. I think the claims are with you guys today. One of those is up to Nordmeyer's to get striped, and today one of them is getting upfitted with all the equipment. So we're trying to get that done as soon as possible so we can alleviate some of the maintenance bills we have for some of the older squad cars. We got one squad car that it's going to take about $1,500 to repair it, so that's one of the squad cars that's on its way out. We are keeping in line with the money allocated in the budget with the public safety tax, so I think we'll be real close on that. Yes, John.
How many pickup trucks do we have?
This will be 4 total.
I thought so because I saw one several months ago
Yes.
in patrol, and now I see 2 more. And that third
Yeah.
one mentioned.
We've had 2 since 2020, I believe.
We've had to.
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
there an advantage to have to pick up?
During the winter time, it's definitely an advantage. The back seat is really bigger than what you would have in the Impalas or even in the Tahoes.
So they're all double seated.
Yep.
Back and front.
Yep.
That would help, but I was worried about if a single sit, 2-man patrol arrests somebody'd have to sit outside going back to town.
No, we've got a cage. We've got cages in the back, and they are quite roomy.
It's
So,
better than cold treatment, I guess.
Yeah. And there are times where we've found ourselves where we've got to haul some equipment that's been stolen, or a bicycle, or other items. So the guys really like them. They're very nice in the wintertime. And then if we've got to go out into a field or through a ditch, something like that. We had a situation where one of our officers ran off the road. He went down through the ditch and was able to maintain his composure and get back on the road.
Thank you, and that's a better explanation.
Yep, that wouldn't have happened with an Impala, I'll guarantee that. So we had one officer hit a raccoon not too long ago, and that pretty much destroyed the bottom side of one of the Impalas. So there's an advantage to being up a little bit higher. And the 2 new ones are patrol-rated trucks. So just like in Blues Brothers, they got the cop tires and the cop brakes and the cop exhaust and all that.
How are we doing on the phone lines, getting everything?
That was on my list to get a hold of Ruger. Last I heard,
They're waiting on switches. They have a couple of switches that are on back order. So as soon as they get those in, then they can wrap up the project.
So hopefully this month we don't get too many more big bills.
I'm hoping, they're tired of hearing from me, so.
They've got to run some wires, don't they?
They've already ran most of them,
Okay,
but they're waiting on the switches to finish running what they need to run.
okay.
Any other questions?
The policeman who went to a different entity,
Yep.
is that a municipality, county, or some other?
They actually went to the Indiana Carpenters Union for another $10 an hour.
So it wasn't law enforcement?
No.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, he said everybody hated their jobs. They hated life. They'd go home and kick the cat. He said, I don't want to be that guy. So,
All right. Anybody else got questions? All right, thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Treasurer.
As I reported at Tax and Zoning, this year we've outsourced our printing for the tax bills. So we won't save any money necessarily on the printing, it's about the same cost, but due to the pre-sort costs with the mail, DevNet has told me that we'll save between $4,000 and $5,000 in postage. So as soon as everybody gets rolled, we can roll to them and they'll print the bills after we approve them and then get them in the mail, so that way. But I was looking towards that, at least, like I said, then, at least saving a little bit more on postage since it definitely has gone up, so. Because they're gonna consolidate a lot of bills based on addresses and stuff, which sometimes we tried to, but weren't able to do it probably as well as they can, so. Other than that, I don't have anything else, so.
Anybody got questions? Madam Clerk.
So, I'm sure most of you have heard, we had a less than stellar election turnout, 13.87. Kind of makes you feel like it was a waste of time and money. When you look at the other counties around us, Kankakee, Ford, they also had horrible turnouts, so it made the sting of that turnout a little better. But anyway, we have 523 vote by mail ballots that are still out. We probably won't see a big portion of those come back. I know we received 16 of them in the mail yesterday, so those will be processed. We're going to continue to process ballots on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we get them in. So then we'll end the election on the 18th, and any ballots that are received in the mail by the 18th, as long as they're postmarked by election day, we'll be able to tabulate those, and then we'll end the election. In tax, Bob reported that he is anticipating rolling to my office in May, maybe the beginning of May, but couldn't give a really great target date. So with that, that means tax bills are going to be late this year. Last year, we received the final multiplier on April 7th. And tax bills were the normal June, September due date. If they don't roll to us until the beginning of May, we have at least 1 month, barring we get the multiplier back within a 2-week time period from the state. But depending on how long the state takes to get us that final multiplier, it could be an August due date of a tax bill, maybe.
We don't discuss like that. So.
Right, we are, but I just want everyone on the committee to be aware that the potential to have a July due date on a tax bill is great where we're at right now. It could be even later, depending on the state and when exactly the treasurer's office, or the assessment office rolls to us, sorry. But it will be a minimum of 1 month before we will be able to roll to the treasurer's office from the time assessment rolls to us. And then when we roll to the treasurer, it takes them about a week, and then they have to give property owners 30 days for that first tax bill to be due. So again, I just want to make sure everyone knows that these tax bills are going to be late this year.
So we're waiting on the state?
No, we haven't even mailed abstracts in yet. We're
waiting
waiting on
assessment.
assessment. They have to finish board of review, and then there are notices that have to go out. So I'm not 100% sure on that aspect, but I just want you to know that once they roll to us, minimum of a month, depending on how long the state takes. It's usually 2 weeks that they, at the earliest, that they'll get a multiplier back to us, but it could be up to 8 weeks. I've seen that before. So hopefully it's not. Right, yes. And we called other counties that have certified their EAVs to us, and they have said that it was about 2 weeks that it took them to get their multiplier back. So we're banking on that.
So the board of review is not finished yet?
I'm not 100%, I know that they aren't in session, but I'm not 100% sure where they're at. I know that they have to finish the board of review in the DEFNET program. So I'm not, that part of the assessment process hasn't been finished in the DEFNET program. So
When is it normally completed, do you know?
I can't
Okay.
answer that. I
It
don't
depends
know.
from year to year, some years.
Right, when
some
they get
years are early,
started.
Some years it could be a little later.
Right, so I'm not, I don't want to give a date to that because I don't.
Okay.
I can't speak on that.
Okay.
So, and that's really all I have from a finance.
I have a question.
Yes.
Back to the election, can you tell me how many elected officials and county board members voted on Tuesday?
Did you know I was making a list?
Send it to Santa Claus.
No, huh?
Send it to Santa Claus.
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten through the poll books yet. It's not gonna take very long to get through most of the poll books because, I mean, in some precincts, we, had like, I'm just trying to think of, I know there were, in one of the Chevances, I think it was Chevance 2, there were only 33 voters and they have over 700 registered voters. It was just sad.
Yeah, I think.
I do know the sheriff voted because somebody in the office said, "Oh, the sheriff voted." I was like, "Okay, I'll mark him off my list."
I was 59th in line.
I think the point of it is that there's a correlation, however be it, between our voter turnouts and some of the bad legislation that gets passed down in Springfield. When they see all the rural counties not bothering to vote, they say, well, those people don't care about anything, we'll go ahead and pass all the laws we want.
Right.
Screw them. And that's what's been happening unless we start to wake up. This is one of the strongest ways that we can have our voice heard is to turn out and vote. So I think it's important that we understand that and try and carry that message out to our constituents and make sure that we get people out to vote. Even when there may not be a clear choice or just one candidate for a particular office, it's still important to be there.
Were there any contested races in the county?
There were, yeah. In my precinct, there was a Crescent Fire race. Watsika Alderman, Ward 1 and 4 had a race. The Village of Clifton had a home rule question and a race, and I could not believe that, because I think they only had maybe 76 voters. It might have been 86, but I don't think they broke 100. They might have though. I mean, some of the numbers are just like floating around in my head that probably aren't right. But I expected the Chevance 1 precinct to have a way higher turnout than what they had, especially with that home rule question on the ballot. Actually, they did have more than.
I just think that voter apathy and corruption and bad legislation go hand in hand.
And they do. And I did want to mention, and several of my judges because it is a long day for them. I mean, we've talked about that before. Several of my judges did say thank you for the additional money. It made sitting there for 14 hours not doing anything a little less of a sting, I guess, because they have to be there. I mean, we can't close the polls early. We can't cut the hours of the polling place. They have to be there that entire time, and we have to have a minimum of 3 judges there. So anyway, there were several that said thank you for the additional money.
Maybe we should change the pay to pay per vote. And then they're out there trying to get the money too.
No. They would have to do that anyways.
Might get in trouble on that one.
That come up as electioneering or something.
Right.
Yeah, they go to the cemetery and get people. Like Chicago.
Any other questions? All right. Did everybody get a chance to read the claims? Any questions on the claims? Yes.
You want an update from me?
Oh, yes, sure.
You know, I don't usually have much, but just, I did email you all the update I received from Hope. We're looking at, draft reports expected in May. The circuit clerk audit is done. The county financials are mostly completed. The GASB 87 is new this year, and that's kind of reviewing all of our grants. They've received everything from me. They're going through the process right now. Single audit also is in progress. Again, they've gotten everything from the county level. They're just going through it now. The other thing I have is ARPA portal opened April 1st, so I have to report on all of the funds that we've awarded and all the expenditures thus far. I have 30 days to do that, so I am working on that. No issues there. The other thing I wanted to let the committee know was to apply for the local assistance and tribal consistency funds. It's under the American Rescue Plan Act. We were eligible for those funds because of some tribal lands that we have in the north east of the county. Yes. Anyhow, we were awarded $100,000. We did receive the first $50,000 of that, and just kind of looking what we can use it for. It's pretty broad on what we can use it for. Some of the things that we can use it for is for upkeeping or updating governmental buildings. So I was going to look at possibly using some of that for the animal control building. The other thing we had on the capital improvements list was getting this building painted and the lettering repainted. So we could, potentially use those funds for those kinds of projects. So just letting you know.
Anybody got any questions for her?
Do I get to report too?
Do you normally report?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I have one thing that I want to address the committee about, and that is, I'm giving you some advance notice that next month I'll be distributing to you some information about the wages that we pay our employees. We're having a very significant problem throughout the county and pretty much every department in either retaining employees or hiring new employees. And I think it's time that we begin to address that matter very seriously. I've asked Jill to prepare some information that will enable us to compare what we do with some of our neighboring counties. I think we'll be very unpleasantly surprised to find out how far down the scale we are. But before we get into our budget process for next year, I think it's important that we consider this matter. That's why I want to bring it to the attention of the committee next month so that you can start preparing your thoughts about how and ways that we can improve the situation. So I know that I've been contacted by almost every department head in the county wanting to see what kind of relief we can provide for them, because they are having a heck of a time finding employees when they advertise for positions. The applicants that they get are not up to standard at all. Some of them don't even know how to spell their own name, let alone do the kind of work that's required. And I think it's time that we get that situation remedied, so. It's not gonna be easy because nobody knows where the money can come from, but we're gonna have to find it someplace, somewhere. So I just wanted to toss that out so that everybody understands what's coming and start to get your thoughts geared in that direction, so. Okay?
All right, anybody else want to report on anything?
Are you gonna do that new business or not?
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anybody else. All right, claims? Any no questions, is there a motion to approve?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Whenever you're ready.
Barron,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Geiger,
Okay.
Miguel, Watts,
Yes.
Okay, new business. Oh, old business, sorry. Just want to get out of here, okay? Is there any old business? Okay, seeing none, new business.
The zoning committee has been approached about the benefits of digitizing the assessing of properties. Right now, we're on cards, and Livingston County has done this 23 years ago. So, anyway, we're looking into costs and then to try to decide how we get different revenue streams to help pay for that. We'll keep you posted as we go, but just in the budgeting process and this and that, we'll try to get a lot of answers. We're trying to compare to other counties who've done this similar project recently, so we find out the pros and cons, the do's and don'ts. And that.
Do you have any idea what it would cost roughly?
Well, really, it appears that labor is what's gonna be a significant portion of this. Because we have over 16,000 parcels in the county. That doesn't include fair farm ground that the state has the funding for. So, in theory, you're supposed to visit every one of those properties within every 4 years. And we don't have assessors for every township now. We do have some townships that have combined to the assessor to do so. We just gotta really figure out who's gonna do this, and is it part of their normal job, or is it, hazard duty pay, or what is it? There's outside vendors who will come in and do that for us. So we're just trying to,
Yeah.
is that fair?
The district that already digitalized theirs,
No district that I know of has digitalized it yet.
I thought Buckley Loda.
Now, they've done it on their own little
Okay, so
Excel
it's not
program.
actually,
No, DevNet is who we would talk to about doing this, and the CAMA system. But there's none of that per se. DevNet says they can take some of our card information and upload that, so it won't be as much labor intensive in the office. But out in the field, there's just nothing they can do.
Right. I know I've talked to Bob in the past, and he said, yeah, if we can get something like that done, it's not that they won't need more help, it's that the help he's got will be able to actually do other things that aren't getting done.
Probably. Don't think we'll save any labor costs of people in his office by no means, is promoting that or suggesting that, no.
Yeah.
On top of that, I believe it's estimated there's a large number of improperly assessed properties throughout the county
You-
that needs to be corrected.
I think we'd also should be fair to our taxpayers by having their houses assessed properly and then get it reduced every year for depreciation, this and that. And any adjustments we need to make can be made in the office rather easily and precisely. So we don't have any of these big hiccups and these 17% changes and, yeah, so. But we'll see what it costs.
Did they have any plan for combining some of these areas like they have, like Ashton, Milk Grove, that area is combined, as a way to need fewer assessors.
Population driven.
That's up to the townships to decide.
Yeah, townships and population.
Well, Pavanaugh and Beaverville are gonna consolidate with Martinton, Concord, and Beaver. But the problem is their assessor's gonna retire, and there's nobody that's qualified to take his place. So then it's gonna be a matter of either they gotta contract out to somebody or, you know, but you gotta find somebody who's qualified to assess that big of a district.
One person just couldn't
Yeah,
do
I
that.
mean, so yeah,
He
you're
did it
looking
for 4
at-
years now. That's what we're looking at, a third party to do it, but they're not cheap either though.
Right.
The problem is it costs several $1,000s in order to be qualified.
Oh, at least, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
pay is so small that nobody, it's not a proposition that anybody is attracted to.
Yeah, it's not a living wage type of job.
That's why these townships, by consolidating, the assessor's income will be, hopefully would be great enough to make it more attractive for them to go ahead and get qualified.
Well, like those two, Pavanaugh and Beaverville have to move with somebody because of population. Anytime your population goes below 1,000, you've got to consolidate. And so like when I was in Martin Township when I was a supervisor, we had to consolidate with Concord and Beaver because my population in my township fell below 1,000 and their combined population between those two townships fell below 1,000. So they had to merge with somebody as well.
What is assessors, is that a standard flat rate or does it matter?
It just depends on the assessing district. I mean, if you're elected, so like, the way normally it's like an elected official in the township sets the salary. So like Middleport Township whatever they set it at. So if they set the salary for the assessor at $5,000, that's all he's gonna get. I mean, he might get reimbursed for his mileage and expenses, but otherwise, if he's elected in the township, his salary is set at whatever, kind of like we do with the county or anybody else, whatever they set the salary, the trustees set it for, that's what they get.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Any other new business? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Alt?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.